All right, today, for these notes, they are similar right triangles. Yesterday's or something else. Today, it's this. All right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to actually go through and we're going to separate a triangle. So given this information right here, we have similar right triangle theorem. An altitude, so my altitude that I'm going to have of a right triangle divides the triangle into two triangles that are similar to the original. So I'm going to start by separating them into my three distinct different triangles. Okay, because it says it only separates two, but I'm going to show you the three. So let's start off with the small. So for some reason, some people don't like the word small, so they call it tall instead. So I'm not going to imply that there's anyone that would refer to a small as tall, but we will just call it the tall for today, because I'm feeling quite sarcastic. All right, so now, that one, the small one, is going to be there. So the next one is going to be the medium, also known as the grande. So we have this one right here. Okay, there we go. We got that one. Now, where is my third triangle? The whole thing, right? The whole thing. And what are we going to call it? It's going to call it, we're going to call it the vente.
What?
Huh? It's going to be called the vente. That's what I was going with. Isn't it just large? Shouldn't it just be large? It should just be large.
I'll have 2 number 9.
Yes, can I have a large? You mean the vente? No, I mean the large one. Is that your big one? Yeah. Isn't that the largest one? Yeah, it is. So you want the vente? No, I want the large one.
Venti. It's venti.
Either way. So, same as people that identify as an attack helicopter. All right, so for today, we are going to break them up into 3 distinct little triangles here. So that makes this one is going to be my tall, my grande, and my vente, right? So I'm breaking this up into my different parts. So these notes are actually going to come out to be pretty quick and pretty easy for when we're actually ready to break it up into different pieces. So when we look at our practice for today, it's not going to be that hard. The hardest thing that we're going to do is actually separate the triangles. And I don't know, I kind of like coloring. I do. Okay? Kind of gives you something to do. They're like, hey, I'm going to make this pretty. And psychologists said that you learn better when you identify things in different color. That's why highlighters are such popular study resource.
So like gender too?
Yeah. Yes. Have you met me? All right, so we got our different sizes right there. Okay? So now we're going to go through and actually set this triangle up into the different pieces. So let's take a look at our notebook, and we're going to look at the bottom page. So we're going to actually rewrite this whole thing, and we're going to do this, and we're going to separate it into our separate pieces. So I'm going to kind of change up the notes that we have here, because I'm going to make it a little bit better. So we're going to copy our 3 distinct separate triangles. Now, each one of these are going to be right triangles. So that's important for the similarity statements. Each one of these are going to be right triangles. We know when we have two sides of a right triangle, we could find the third by doing the... I heard Pythagorean Theorem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Pythagorean Theorem. So making sure everyone at home could hear this right now. Okay, Pythagorean Theorem is the answer. So we're going to go through and we're going to identify the parts. So each part of these triangles, they have a hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is always located across from the right angle, right? We have a short leg and we have a long leg. Short leg and long leg. So that's the reason why these are actually arranged like this. Long leg is on the bottom. Short leg is here, right? So for every single one, we're separating them and setting them out like this. So we can set this up correctly. So let's take a look at my tall. Okay? And we're looking at this piece right here. So from my tall, which I have right here in green, what letter do I have for my short leg? Short leg is E, isn't it? That's an E. That's an E. So I'm going to put an E. It's a lowercase e. My long leg is going to be, say G. Okay, so long leg is G, because it's this one right here, right? And then here's my right angle. So across from the right angle is my hypotenuse, and that is going to be B. All right? Now, let's take a look at my grande. What is the short leg of my grande? Okay, right here. It's the blue one I have for this. It's G, isn't it? The short leg is G. Long leg is? Watch this, watch this, watch. If there's a right angle here, what's on this side right here? Another right angle. For this to be a straight line, we have a right angle here also. I will enunciate and make it really big so you can see it. So I have this is my right angle, right? So that means that my long leg is going to be over here, and that's going to be F. So I'm going to put F right there. And then my hypotenuse is A. Very good. Now, let's go with the venti. So my venti. What is the short leg of my venti? B. Very good. What is the long leg of my venti? Where the venti is the red one, right? So it's going to be A, isn't it? Okay, it's going to be A. Hypotenuse. C. Very good, because I have little markings showing it's the whole thing, right? If I didn't have markings show it's a whole thing, what would I do? I would call this one E plus F, right? That's important. Not for today, but for later on this next week. So this one's going to be my C value here. All right? Okay, so now that I have that information there, okay, I have it separated into my distinct different triangles here. So given this, I'm going to use this here momentarily when I go through and try and solve this problem over here. Okay? So let's take a look at this now. Since there are three triangles are similar, we could write ratios for the corresponding sides relating the medium and small. So medium, okay? Yes, my grande, and the small is my tall. Okay, so that means that all this right here is my grande. Okay, so from here, what is the letter that I use for my short leg of my grande? Let me slide this down. Here it is. Okay, what is the short leg of my grande? G. Very good. So it's going to be G over What is the long leg of my grande? F. Very good. Equals. Now we're doing the tall or small, depending on what place you actually get your coffee. All right. Now, what is the short leg of my small? E over long leg? G. All right, so now when I set these up, they're similar. That means the ratios, their proportions are going to be the same. So when I set this up like this, I can always use what to solve them? Cross products. Thank you. So we're going to get cross products here. Okay, for this, notice that G is repeated in the proportion. This is called the geometric mean. So when I multiply them together, G times G is G squared. G squared. Okay? For any two positive numbers, A and B, the geometric mean of A and B is a positive number x such that A over x equals x over b. So, this whole thing is trying to say, how do you undo a square? Square root, right? That's all this is trying to say. When you try to undo a square, it's going to be the square root. Now, I'm going to translate this into basic English. Let's put some numbers in here. Let's look at example 1. In example 1, I'm going to do it right over here. And we're going to fill in some numbers for what we have. So, color coordinated again. There we go. So I have color coordinated, just like my shoes and socks. They're always color coordinated. I would never wear some weird lime green socks with my regular shoes with strange dinosaurs on them. Okay. So let's take a look. So I have all this now set up. Okay. Let's break it up into my pieces. So for my example 1, I'm going to go to the page underneath. I have my 3 distinct different triangles. All right, so let's see what we have here now. Now we're going to start with my tall. What is the short leg of my tall? It's going to be 4. So I'm going to put a 4 right here. Maybe this might help. Okay, so we have 4 there. What is the long leg of my tall? Tall, green one. Which one's a long leg? It's y, isn't it? So it's going to be y right there. Do I have a value for the hypotenuse? No. So I'm going to leave that alone. Since I don't have anything for the hypotenuse, I'm going to leave that alone. Okay? So let's take a look at my grande. What is the short leg of my grande? Y. So I'm going to put a y right there. What is the long leg of my grande? 9. Now, we're going to look at the large. Do I know what the short leg of my large is? Say no. Because I don't have any value there. There's nothing there. Okay? So I'm not going to put anything there right now. How about this one over here? Do I know the long leg? Nothing. So short leg has nothing. Long leg has nothing. What about hypotenuse? 13. Very good. So the hypotenuse is 13, isn't it? So hypotenuse is 13. Nothing there. Nothing there. So in my drawing over here, I'm going to just put 13. Now, to be able to do this comparison, you need at least two sides of each triangle. Do I have two sides of this triangle? No, I do not have two sides of this triangle. Okay? I have two sides of this one, and I have two sides of this one. They have to be corresponding. Has to be corresponding. What does corresponding mean? What does corresponding mean?
90 degrees.
Not 90. That is not corresponding. That's complementary. Corresponding means they go together. They go together. So what side? So since we say this one only has one side, so I can't deal with this one yet. So what side goes with this side right here? 4. Because they're similar triangles. Remember when we were actually setting up my scale factor before? I would start with my smallest side on this one goes with my smallest side with this one. They are corresponding. So, corresponding. So I'm going to start my fraction like that. So I'm going to start with y over 4. Equals. What is going to go next? 9 over y. Are they corresponding to each other? Yes, they correspond to each other. So I have short leg, long leg. Short leg, long leg. Those go together. So I'm going to put equals 9 over y. I get 9 over y there. Right? Cross products. Cross products. So now I'm going to multiply by cross products. Y times y gives me y squared equals 4 times 9, 36, very good, 36. Now, from the notes a minute ago, okay, we've also done this quite a lot. To undo my square, I square root. So y is equal to the square root of 36. So therefore, y should give me what? Y equals 6. It's not too bad, is it? Okay, so I'm going to show you another way to do this. Okay, on example 2. Similar information, but this is one way because sometimes you have to spread out all 3. Sometimes you can get away with only doing 2 of them. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So if I'm going to have the geometric mean out of that, so let's take a look at, let's take a look right here. So I didn't like these notes, so I'm just going to put an X right here, and I'm going to just say Y is 6, and I say C, other side. This makes you set up all the fractions. You really don't need it. You need to pick out what you need. So I'm going to show you a different way of doing it here. So if I know what I'm doing, so example 2 is another way of doing this. So I am going to show you. And if I could do this right, I will have it. I'm going to start off like this. If and only if I could do this, and I have all the values. Now, this piece right here, do I know what this piece has to be? Do I have a value? Do I have something I could put in there? Where do we get 20 from? So it's 60 minus 40, right? 60 minus 40 gives me 20. This is just like what we were doing on our practice yesterday. Okay, from our practice yesterday, even if I had a variable there, I would still set it up like that. And then this would work. So now, from here, see this upside down t? This will work now. So, I'm going to set it up like this. So, if I have it like this, I'm going to go with short leg over long leg. 20 over x. Equals, now let's look at the other triangle. So I'm going to cover up that and look at just the other triangle. What is the short leg over long leg? X over 40, very good. So I covered it up for a reason, so I'm only looking at that triangle that I drew an upside down t in. So if I have those values right there, I could solve for this. So short leg over long, so it's going to be x over 40. This is using the geometric mean now. So since I have geometric mean, I have right here, it's going to end up giving me my x squared, isn't it? When I do my math, x squared equals 20 times 40 is 800. To undo my square, I'm going to square root. So x equals square root of 800. X is about, what do we get? Could you please calculate that? 28.28. So can we just say that's like 28.3? Okay. Yes.
It's 20x equals 2. 20 over x equals 8 over 3.
X over 40. We said 28 point what? What did I say? 3? Okay. So it's going to be about that. So now I know what x is, right? So x could go back into the triangle. Now the next part of this, so this is using geometric mean, and the next thing is going to be Pythagorean Theorem. I need to find y. So I could cover this up and just look at this little triangle here, or if I had enough information, I would look at the big triangle, but I don't have this piece. So what I do is I look to see which triangle has two values, two numerical values. I need actual numbers now. Since this is now a numerical value, I could use this little triangle here, my tall, to be able to use Pythagorean Theorem to solve for y. So let's take a look. It's going to be, let's see, 20 squared plus 28.3 squared equals y squared. So I get 400 plus big number, it should come out to be like 800 equals y squared. Add those two together, I get 1200 is equal to y squared. And to undo my square, I do what? Square root. So y equals the square root of 1200. So y, I'm going to rewrite it, is about, so like 36 something. 34 point what? Okay. 34.6 is going to be my y value. Does that make sense? A little bit, hopefully. Now, for these type of problems, they are work. They are. So you guys actually have to do the practice on here to get better with this. Now, let's take a look at your practice now, real quick, before I go too far. I'm going to start by drawing the t. If I draw the t, then I can actually do it using geometric mean. Okay. Do I have all parts to that? Oh, sorry, down a little. Do I know what this piece right here is? What's this one going to be? 64, right? Or if this is where my variable was, it would be 100 minus 36, right? For that one, right? So 100 minus that. So I could do it. Okay. Now, for this one right here. So this one is interesting because I don't have enough information yet. So I can't jump straight to Pythagorean Theorem with either of them here. So what I'm going to do here is I would separate this into the 3 triangles and see which ones have 2 values to be able to use. And I'm going to tell you right here, this one's going to be the vente and the tall. The large. It's the large and the small. So when you separate them, you're going to do your comparison in between those ones. All right, you guys, don't forget, like and subscribe. Don't leave a comment.